To the Author's Corner. My name is Marisa Bluedorn. I am your host, and I'm so excited to be with you. I'm so excited to be with you every time we come together. And so I just want to stop and take a minute to say we are celebrating 5 years. It's really a little longer than 5 years, but officially 5 years of serving our audience. And we're so excited to be celebrating here in the Dominican Republic, May 1st through the 4th. And we're also going to be adding to that celebration the Own It X, which is a live speaker event where we have about 10 speakers that will be delivering some powerful, inspirational messages in their presentations. And so we're excited about that. And so taking center stage and owning it with me today is the contributing writer team for Own It Magazine. But before we do that, I just want to say to you, our topic for today is about having a strategy. What's your roadmap for publishing your book? Whether you've already published your book. See, some of these tips are not just for those people who are considering writing a book, but also to those people who have already published. You are already an existing author and you've already published your book. Well, guess what? If you have not been marketing that book, these are some tips that we can share with you to get that book off the shelf and back into the presence of the audience that you want to purchase your book. So taking center stage and owning it with me is Teresa Palmer, Stephanie Malinch, Coach Tiffany Parrott, and Pastor Daraine Irvin is in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got a lineup of women today from our team. And this, again, like I said, is the contributing writers team. We are all best-selling authors, and we want to share our experiences with you and hope that our words inspire you to really get out there and promote and advocate for your book project or get your book off of the papers and into the publishing houses. So with that being said, our topic today, as we talked about, was the roadmap to strategizing for publishing your book. And so, Teresa, do you want to share? You've already published. You're in the process of doing another book. You want to share some insight onto, what are some of the key essential things that people, an individual should be looking at when considering this journey?
Thank you so much, Marissa, and thank you, everyone, for listening. It's a pleasure to be here. And yes, I have published a book. I'm in the process of writing another book, and there's two things that I would like to touch on. The first is to write from your heart. And by that, I mean, don't write a book with the intention of who's going to like it. Sometimes people, especially with traditional publishing, people go to write a book and it's like, well, what would the publisher want? What's on trend? What's on this? What's on that? The truth is nobody has an original idea. Everything that we're saying has been said before, but it's how we say it. And the way that we really speak is with our passion and from our heart. So the first thing I would tell anybody is when you're going to write a book or you're thinking about writing a book, is what are you passionate about? What is in your heart that you believe is a message that you want to give to other people? So that's the first thing. The second thing is I've had experience now with book proposals. I'm in the process of doing one. And I think whether or not you're going through a traditional publisher where you have to present a book proposal, or if you're going on your own independent, what a book proposal does is it really gives you the roadmap of your book. So it talks about an overview. What is your book about? Which is very important. How are you going to grab the audience? What about what you're saying? Like I said, it's been said before. There's no original ideas. What you're saying, how does that capture an audience? And then the second thing is, who is your target audience? Like for me, my target audience, I believe my target audience is women 40 to 50 and over who also have an interest in alternative complementary care, along with traditional medical heart care. So that's something that, again, becomes clear when you do a book proposal, because that's part of the book proposal. Who's your audience? Now, what are you going to do with that audience? And that's the author's platform. And that's the second most important thing in a book proposal, is how do you plan to market the book? Because nowadays, whether you're doing self-publishing, it's all up to you. If you're a self-publisher, 100% of the marketing is up to you. If you're going through a traditional publisher, now 80% of the marketing is up to you. So you're only got a 20% advantage there. So
Yes.
how are you going to market? What are you going to do? How are you going to use social media? An email list. Do you have an email list? That's fine. But is it people that are engaged with you and resonate with you, or is it just a list? I mean, you could pay for a list. You could pay marketing companies money, and they'll give you 10,000 people on an email list easily. But how many of those 10,000 people are going to resonate with what you say? So, although I believe in an email list, and I know traditional publishers think that's very important, yes, it is. But at the same time, is this a list that's engaged? So, the author's platform is all about how are you going to engage your audience, whether it be through social media. I think sometimes we forget word of mouth. The word of mouth is still an important way, community, going out to anything live. I will say something that I found interesting. Because I belong to Hay House, um, I'm privy to a lot of their community. And one of the things that was talked about was that people like to do book signings. And the bottom line is, unless you're famous, a well-known author, a book signing does nothing, because most people don't get enough people to come to a book signing to
Mhm.
really market a book. So what was suggested is that you don't take your time, because book signing takes a lot of time and effort. If you're a well-known book writer, author, if you've been, numerous bestsellers that are longevity, New York Times bestsellers that are longevity, then it's worth it to do a book signing. Otherwise, we're told that you're better off using that time more creatively in other ways to market your book.
Oh,
That's
that's interesting. So there's two sides to that. And so the other side to that is that because I've done book signings that are hugely successful, but you have to surround that with an event, and very profitable too. You have to surround that with an event. You have to have an agenda with it. You can't just have a book signing. You have to have something associated with it, like a workshop, or like me, I do a lot of public speaking with my book signings. It's a dinner, so they sit down, they have a dinner, and I'm the keynote, because it is my book, and I talk about my book. I talk about the experience, and I have those who are in attendance. They pay for that book before they even get there. So the book is already paid for. So I know that if I have 60 people in the room, 60 people have purchased that book. And so it's not necessarily to market my book as much as it is to, advocate for its contents, to make people locally aware of it. So book signings can be, and it just depends on a person's experience. That's a beautiful thing about what we do here, is that we have different experiences. So we bring different things to the table so that our audience can have an opportunity to know what it has been successful. And sometimes even if something wasn't successful the first time, maybe it just needs some assessment, analyzing, to go back in and kind of tweak things. But I had my first book signing where it was just in a library. I did do an interview because I did learn from famous people. And in fact, right before I did my book signing, I attended Cornell West's book signing. And what they do is they do it from a literary perspective, where they were in the library again, but they had an interview of Cornell West. And so guess what I did? I said, hey, if they did that with him, then this is how I do all what I do. I have the audacity and the tenacity to say, if they did it, if you did it, then I can do it too. And that's exactly what I did. So I got someone who I knew was very intellectual to do the interview with me, and we did it in the Plainfield Public Library, my hometown. And the room was standing room only. It was standing room only. They enjoyed it. I had someone read my bio and have me come out like I'm famous, because I am famous, right? We're all famous. So I am famous. So they read my bio. It was very professional. I came out, they clapped. Of course, this is going to be people who know you. They're your inner core network, right? They're going to come out, they're going to support you. But once they see you in that capacity where your bio is read, because you'll be surprised at what you've accomplished over these years, especially if you're into your 30s, your 40s. You've accomplished a lot in your life that you've taken for granted. If you didn't remember, I had you guys do your speaker one sheets. If you don't start writing down your accomplishments, great and small, if you don't start creating a list of what you've done, you don't realize how amazing you are in all the work that you already done, because you don't have it in front of you. When I had someone read, I remember my first keynote, when I had them read my bio, I was so shocked, because we take it for granted, because we're just doing us, right? We're just showing up and doing us. When we're deciding to do this book or, a project like that, it's just like, we want to tell somebody else. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you reach that level of self-actualization, that liberation, that freedom level, you want to show other people how good that really feels. So that's what compels us to write a book. That's what compels us to share our stories, is because, like, wow, God has done this. I made it through this. I want to tell other people. And that's what Maslow's hierarchy needs. When you reach that place of self-actualization, that you feel so good that you want to reach back to others and try to help them to come up. And so I just want to encourage folks that may be considering a book signing, get creative with the book signing. I had, my second book signing, it was a sit-down dinner, because it was sweetheart before I say I do. So I did it around dating. So I said, hey, bring your date. You can have dinner and a date. We had the dating game during that event. We had the newlyweds, new couples event. So they had a game. They had games and interactive activities that caused them to be engaged. And I promoted that we're going to have the dating game. And then we had, what else? It was the new weds. You remember those shows from the 70s? I'm dating myself from the 70s. Yeah, we had those shows. And again, I learned that day to sign my books in advance. Why? Because we had over 60 people there. And at the end of the night, when it was time to sign the books, I was signing book after book after book, like originally signing it. So I learned from attending another event, an author, Teresa Brown. She shared with me something that was shared with her, was to pre-sign your books. And that way, all you have to do is put their names in the book when they come up. And that takes less time. Have a signature statement to them. It's Your Life, Own It is my signature statement for my main book. So I have a signature statement for each one of my books, so that they're signed in advance. And unless God gives me something specific for that individual, I just have to put their name at the top. And then it keeps the line moving. So they get their signed books, but it keeps the line moving, because I kid you not, I was like, I'm exhausted from signing all these books. But yeah, so you gotta, just like Teresa said, there's nothing new under the sun. All of us and not just singularly experienced stuff. Many of us have gone through similar things. There's something a little bit always different. The complexity comes from the amount of people that are in the world, not the differences of what we've experienced, but how each of us experienced it, our perspective, our response to it, and our victory, how we actually came out of it. And so, yeah, so you said a lot. Know your audience is very important. Word of mouth is how we get bestseller status all the time. It's not based on sending it out via email, newsletter, whatever. It is that boots on the ground, one to one. Hey, we're getting ready to do the bestseller status. I'm doing a shout out to Ladies in Tech 3. I already ordered my copy of the book to support their bestseller campaign that's going on today. So, congratulations. I'm congratulating you in advance because I know you're going to make it. But that is word of mouth, sharing, asking your community to share. That is the boots on the ground approach. So, Teresa, you hit something so very, very important. I'm going to move over to Stephanie. Stephanie, you come from the editing and the copy perspective. So share with the audience, your insight and tips.
Gosh, I have so many from both perspectives because I'm an editor. I help people edit their books. I do a little bit of coaching. I have a workshop that I offer every Monday night from 7 to 7:45 Central Time, where you can come in and learn what it takes to write a book. You can either use that time as accountability time, and we just work quietly on our own projects, or you can use it to ask me questions if you don't know where to start. I can tell you right now where to start. You need to have a concept that is unique to your perspective with your business.
Excellent.
You need to go out and look and see if there's already 500 books about the same topic that you want to write about. Because if everyone's already written something, even though you may be going at it from a different vantage view, people are going to be like, oh my God, there's another book on blah, blah, blah on the bookshelves. Why can't people quit writing about this? So you really need to be unique. And part of being unique is making your books sometimes easily digestible. I have 3 books that I've written that are all under 45 pages each, because I want people to learn what they need to learn and not feel overwhelmed. I actually have also edited down a book. I had a client that wrote a 745-page book on conquering alcoholism, and he decided after he had published it, why aren't people reading it? I wonder if it's too long. So I went through and I culled out everything and made it into a 200-page book, and it sold better because it was smaller. It was more attainable for someone who has issues to not feel like, I'm never going to do this, and then they get even worse down the rabbit hole of whatever their addiction is. Also, as much as we love our Amazon bestseller campaigns, in this political climate right now, you cannot guarantee that you are going to have people buying your books. I know starting Friday, they're calling for an all-out boycott of anything Amazon for the rest of the month. So if you've got a bestseller campaign scheduled the rest of this month, you are going to be very hard-pressed to get it out there if that's your only avenue. Now, I know a lot of the other, I have all my books on 17 different platforms. No, you're not going to get bestseller status. You're not going to get the gold ribbon on the other ones, but you got to start thinking seriously about cross-promoting your books and cross-publishing them on different platforms, because, I mean, we're doing this for a job. We're the ones that are suffering, not the upper people. So just be mindful. And another great thing you need to do is, again, this is something you have to do through Amazon, unfortunately, take advantage of buying your author copies and have a few dozen of those around, and look for different vendor events that are going on in your neighborhood. I'm going to a book event on Saturday that it's just a mix and mingle of all different writing professionals. There's going to be authors, illustrators, editors, publishers, people that do marketing for books, everything. And I always have a load of books in the back of my car so that when something like that happens, I'm ready to go. I don't have to take hours ahead of time to get ready. Also, one of my books that's about health, I go to health fairs. You don't have to just look for author events. I look for health related venues for that book. For my book on living independently when you're older or frail, I look for senior resource fairs. So keep your eyes open to all the different types of resources that are out there. Look for small independent bookstores that maybe take books on consignment. Unfortunately, the one bookstore I had that was the only independent press bookstore in the area shut down last month. And that was where I had the most success. So now I'm having to, you always have to be rethinking. That was a blow to me. Amazon's thing is a blow to me. You just always have to think about all the different ways that you can put yourself out there.
Yeah. And you can also schedule, right? So if there is any kind of boycotts or anything like that, or stand down from purchasing, you can always navigate through that. Amazon is a go-to. Hopefully they get it, the importance of diversity and inclusion, and just realizing, how important that is and how many people, are affected by that. No matter what color you are, we're all affected by that. So there's ways to navigate around all of the stuff that's going on in the world and in the U.S. today. There's ways to navigate around it, and it's adaptivity, right? You have to be adaptive. You have to be ready to pivot. You have to be ready to, switch in a different direction. I love what you said about buying your own books and having your own inventory. I encourage authors all the time to have your book on your website. You make more money by doing that. You have to do the work. You have to be your shipping company until you can outsource that. But it's always best to have your books on your website. And like you said, Stephanie, have an inventory. And be proactive when you're signing up with other events and things like that. That's about networking, right? It's not necessarily that you're going to sell a bunch of books, but are you going to meet the right person? Are you going to meet your next speaking event, your next workshop, your next, whatever? You may meet someone because now you're in the village that's your own. These are the same like-minded individuals who are looking to do the same thing. You can look at opportunities for collaborative projects, collaborative works, which brings us right into our next person, which is Tiffany, who is in the process of publishing her anthology. And Tiffany, talk to them from the anthology. Maybe they don't want to do their own book, but even though they're part of an anthology, they have to promote they have to promote that book as well. Teresa talked about publishing with a company and how the company does 20%. So at the end of the day, and you pay publishing houses. You pay publishing houses to be PR and do that PR work for you. But at the end of the day, and I've always said this, you as the author are still responsible for advocating for your work, your published work. So talk about it from the anthology perspective, Tiffany, which is different.
Yeah. I'm the anthology queen. I call myself, and I love it because writing a book can be very hard, right? Trying to figure out, how to get it all out there. And when you're in an anthology, you have a group of individuals that are all, sometimes going through the same feelings, and, maybe they're trying to figure out what part of the story they want to share and things like that. And because of my coaching background, what I do in anthologies is I've actually kind of created a program behind it where it's okay, we have our editors, we have, our book coach that is going to work to help the individual figure out what they want to share. And then we have accountability partners built in there as well, because I always assign each author an accountability partner. So now they're checking in with each other, once a week, making sure that they're going to get to that deadline, right? You make sure you have a deadline, because sometimes I've been in projects where it's like, yeah, we're going to come out in spring of 2026. Okay, well, when in spring? What is that actual deadline, right? So it's really having that deadline, having people stay accountable. And when you have a group of individuals, you now have a whole bunch of networks that you're able to now feed into as well, because you work together, you work in unison to spread like wildfire, right? So you make sure that, like Marie said, you mentioned, I think it was behind backstage, we just are launching Unsnapped, which is now my 4th and 5th anthology. And I sent out all of the announcements to everyone on the same day saying, look, I need you to go ahead and put this as your Facebook cover and all on all your social medias. So now when anyone goes to any of our socials, they're going to see that. And that's where it starts to spread. When we start going into our campaigns, into that bestseller campaign, we're now sharing out to, I've got almost 5,000 people on Facebook. So all of my authors now are able to tap into my 5,000 on Facebook, my, almost 4,000 on Instagram, my people on LinkedIn. We're able to share in that way, but we all got to work together.
Yes.
That's the thing, and I think sometimes when people do anthologies, they got to make sure that they put that in writing for their authors, that this is what we're all responsible to do, right? And what this opens you up to is now, when you are all are doing various events in your area, you're now inviting all of the authors to come to your area. So I've got what, 9 authors in this, in our women's book. That's 9 places that you now are open to be able to go and share your story and your part in this. And when you go, yes, you go live on your socials, you let people know where you're going. People are like, man, oh, you're going over here now. Oh, wow, you're over there. Wow. They call it, you're my jet setting friend, because you're tapping into other individuals. And when you do that, that also makes them look really good as well, because when you go to their area and people are coming to see them, they're like, what, you got somebody from Chicago out here to California, and you got someone from Tennessee and Alabama and Oklahoma, wherever, right? The DR. It's just amazing how that can work when we just come together and work together. My biggest phrase right now is better together. And
Yes.
that's just, it's just, again, it's just really amazing how it works, with this. So yeah, that's all I got on the anthologies right now. I'm just excited about this new anthology coming out, so get ready. We are actually coming out in
Unstopped.
April, because I did hear a little bit about that. Steph. So yeah, we're doing the first weekend in April, so we're very excited about that.
Yeah, you just navigate, you pivot. You don't look at it like, oh my God, it's doom and gloom. You still got to find a way, right? So you got to find the pathway. And that's what makes us leaders, right? Leaders
Right.
don't say, oh my God, and then that's it. No, you figure it out. You don't give up. You figure it out. And so so the anthology, great. Just like you said, for me, I probably still haven't processed it. So when I came here to the DR, I'm just being myself, just being me. I don't try to impress anyone. That's not my personality. That's not. I just am defiant. I have this natural audacity to believe that, we can do it. Why can't we do it? Why wouldn't we do it? And when I first got here, I was introduced to emotions, and because I was looking for a conference hall to have we did our first my first anthology was Own It Unapologetic. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let me bring the people here, because people were like, Marisa, we want to come. And so it was just like, okay, figure it out, Marisa. So we made a conference here in 2023. It was our first conference here. Some of those individuals that came here never had their passport. I don't even think they were thinking about getting a passport, because that was never something on their agenda to travel internationally. I know that at one point in my adult life, it wasn't a point for me to have my passport. In fact, I only got my passport when I moved here. And so I don't even think I have grasped the magnitude of having 35 people come to another country to say to them, do you understand? I just want you to take that in for a minute, that here I am. I only work for myself. There is no corporation behind me. There's none of that. It's my business. And to be able to believe that it would be possible to come to another country, live here, and then solely, because ain't nobody, no boots on the ground here, and there's nobody here other than me and my good Lord, okay? And him being for me, and just believing in what he called me to do, to orchestrate 35 people coming from one country to another country. So we do this to encourage you that if you have a vision, be on a mission to bring that vision to fruition. And so that's what these tips are all about. That's what this insight is all about. It's to say to you, anything is possible for you. You only have to believe, you have to conceive it, and then you have to do what it takes to achieve it. And so I'm going to take us over to Pastor Durain, because she's published, and I know she's been writing some notes and all that good stuff, and she's going to close us pretty much out. So Pastor Durain, would you do that?
Hello, everyone. So good to see everyone again. I'm so excited. You guys literally have been pouring into me. You guys have published more books than I have. I've had the one book, and then I have the anthologies with Marisa. And so I'm just so excited just to pull and to glean. And it's just been an eye-opener, because I was like, oh, man, I never thought about that. Oh, I didn't think about that. From Teresa to Stephanie to Tiffany to Marisa, you guys have just given me some great ideas. I must admit, I have to do much better with social media and advertising myself. So that's my focus for the remainder of 2025. I am believing that because I serve the God of the impossible, all things are possible. And that's my word that I made up. He is the God of the him, capital HIM, possible. And I believe that. So I'm doing some things. I have a tea that I'm doing, and I'm doing it with 4 other authors. And as Marisa talked about, everyone has already paid for their books. So everyone that comes will get a bag with 4 books in it. Already pre-signed. I learned that. So then when I am signing, and if God gives me something else for them, I write it down. And it's amazing that when I hand it to them and they read it, they get this aha moment on their face. I said, that's between you and God, honey. I'm just giving you what God gave me. And then someone with them will say, oh, she just read your card, honey. Wow. So now you have a confirmation. So when we look at writing, as we teach the children in school, in school we use PI. Are you writing to persuade, to inform, or to entertain? And then once you figure out what you want to do, then, as Stephanie and Teresa talked about, you go to that passion that's inside of you and make it uniquely you, and you pour into whatever aspect of PI that you want to do. Tiffany, I like what you put in the chat. that conference changed my life. Now I'm moving into my dream home in the DR. To me, that sounds like a book, The Impossible Dream. And you could write, these are the steps that I took to get to the DR. Now, if I'm interested in coming to the DR, I'm going to buy your book because
Yeah.
I want to know, how did you do it? I'm looking at Marisa. I want to know, how did they do this? How did they move? We talked about Hawaii and how that's my paradise. But unfortunately, it's a 10-hour flight for me to get back to my grandchildren. So I can't move there. But if I could, that's what I would write about, because there are others who want to live in paradise. How did you get there? Every book that we write, it has a purpose. And the purpose is it's going to meet somebody's need.
Yes.
I always say, most of our lives are a mess and some of them are a hot mess. How did you get out of that hot mess to living your best? Because if you did it, I can do it, and I can follow your steps. So whether I'm trying to persuade you, whether I'm trying to inform, whether I'm trying to entertain, it has to come from the heart. It has to come from a place of wanting to help people move to a better place. I always say, I'm trying to help you get to your promised land, baby.
Yeah.
So how do I use my book to help you get to that promised land that God has ordained for your life?
Yes.
And then I just try to pour that into whatever it is I'm doing. I'm doing something a little different. I did use a publisher. I was not as fortunate as Teresa, where they did a lot of advertising for me. My book was published, but all of that was left to me. Talking about a deer in headlights, you don't really have a clue. But I praise God for being a part of this platform with you wonderful, best-selling international authors, because I am gleaming. That's why I'm writing those, because I'm writing this down. You guys have already done it. So I thank you for opening the door for me and leading that path. And I tell you, honey, I'm going to ease right on down that road right behind you.
Yes, yes, awesome, awesome. And you are a best-selling international author too, because you're in his presence. And so that made Amazon #1 bestseller. And so we believe that, even what you said, Stephanie, in these organizations that really we want to get their attention, that there are good partnerships. There are good partnerships, and hopefully they get it. And we won't have to rake their attention too long. But in the meantime, we have to be flexible. We have to be open-minded. We have to keep a good heart too, not become vicious and upset in regards to these times that we are in. Pay attention to your heart, because out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. So we want to make sure that our hearts are right, because at the end of the day, this too shall pass, right? This too shall pass. So our focus today was on having a strategy for navigating and having a roadmap for publishing your book. We talked about content. Content is so important, but the first thing is to know your audience. And Teresa said, speak from the heart, and she's our heart expert anyway, so she's going to tell you to always come from the heart. And so speak from the heart. Make sure you're true to your authenticity and your message. I always say to you, identify 3 to 5 points that you really want your book to make, and then write around that to make sure that it flows. You want to start, a middle, and an end, right? So design is very important. How you design your cover, how you design your marketing, your branding is important. So you want to take that into consideration. Marketing, how are you going to be engaging to your audience and get them to buy in, to want to purchase your book? Are you using social media, email, newsletters, or channels? Are you going live? I always say this: you are an advocate for your work. So make sure that you are doing interviews. Even before your book is actually published, talk about pre-sales. Talk about your book all over wherever you can. You are your advocate for the work that you do. So we love you so very much. This has been such a pleasure. And I believe it's worth the additional minutes that we went, because we went in and we gave in deep. And so without further ado, this has been the Author's Corner. We love you. Have a blessed rest of the week. We are out.